All right, I wanted to record a short video to help train us on how to think about what time of day it is if we see the moon in the sky. So we're going to use this little coin. It's a Petoskey parking token because it's nice and shiny for the sun. And I've made a bunch of little paper moons to help us think through some of these. So we're going to start out with the new moon and the full moon because they tend to be the easiest. If we have a new moon in the sky, then we determine that the sun is roughly in the same location. The sun can never be in front of the new moon, just physically it's incapable of that. And the sun is only perfectly behind the new moon during a solar eclipse, and those are quite rare. But the key thing to remember is that our clocks are based on where the sun is. When we see the moon in the sky, we have to know where the sun is to then determine what time of day it is. So for a new moon, the sun gets put right where the new moon is, and we can remember a couple of key things. The sun rises in the east at sunrise. For this simplified activity, we can just say that sunrise is approximately 6 a.m. The sun is highest in the southern sky at noon, and the sun sets in the west at sunset, which we're going to approximate to be 6 p.m. And then finally, the sun is beneath the horizon, out of view, and as far out of view in the north-south line as possible at midnight. So right now, the new moon where it is after noon, but before 6 p.m., sunset. And so we would say that it's approximately 3 p.m. Rounding to every 3 hours is close enough for this activity for us to understand what's going on here. Okay, let's try another one. If we have the full moon means that the sun is as far away from it as possible. If we imagine this big circle of possibilities, the sun is as far away as possible on the opposite side of that circle. So we can see here that the sun is after sunset, but it's not yet at midnight. So this would be approximately 9 p.m. All right. So the new moon and the full moon, they're a little bit easier for us to think about. Let's consider the first quarter moon. So the first quarter moon, we're going to have this highest in the sky. This was the first out of the 3 examples from weekly worksheet 2A. The first quarter moon is exactly halfway in between new moon, where the sun would be right where it is, and full moon, where the sun would be perfectly opposite. So directly halfway means it has to be either in the east or in the west. And then the side of the moon that's lit up helps us figure out that the sun has to be in the west here. So it is approximately sunset or 6 p.m. for this particular moon. Now, things get a little bit tougher when we have a crescent moon or a gibbous moon. If it is sunset, a waxing crescent is close to the sun, but lit up kind of facing the sun. And a waning crescent is close to the sun, but again, facing the sun, the lit up part. So when we have a crescent moon, we can see it at sunset if it is a waxing crescent, and we can see it at sunrise if it is a waning crescent. All of this is easier if we kind of think about the fact that any location for the sun, we could put every single one of these phases somewhere in the sky based on their kind of lit upness. So a waning crescent would be here. A third quarter moon would be a quarter of the way around this circle. A waning gibbous moon would be not fully across the circle from it. The full moon would be. So the full moon would be setting. The waning gibbous moon would be here. And we can kind of get that sense of how to deal with these things. You can make these yourself. I just used a paper, scissors, and a Sharpie to draw these in and kind of play around to get a better understanding this is how we use critical thinking, not just trying to have all of this happen in our heads, but to actually use these tools available to us to picture it and to draw it out. Okay, a couple more examples then using this. Let's say that the sun is 9 a.m. You can see a waning crescent if it's lit up enough to not be kind of overwhelmed by sunshine. A third quarter moon would be in the sky at that time of day. The waning gibbous moon might be setting at that time. The full moon would be beneath the horizon. The waxing gibbous moon, technically upside down, the waxing gibbous moon is also below the horizon. The first quarter moon is exactly opposite where the third quarter moon would be able to be, under the horizon. The waxing crescent moon might be just rising into view, and then the new moon here would be right where the sun is. But I had to lay all of these out based on where the sun is and how they are lit up. The less lit up they are, the closer they actually are to the sun. And the more lit up they are, the farther away they are from the sun, because they're basically being fully lit from us looking in the opposite direction of the sun. So this kind of thing will help you to be able to answer the kinds of questions that a few of them showed up on the weekly worksheet 1, and there are several more that show up on weekly worksheet, 2A, and there's several more on 2B, where you put the moon in the sky somewhere and you determine, okay, if it were a full moon, the sun would be exactly opposite of that. It is not a full moon, so the sun has to shift a little bit one way or the other, and the sun is going to shift towards the direction that's lit up, and so this would be approximately at midnight. You can do that same thing for any moon phase in any location. This waxing crescent moon, the sun is not exactly here because it's not a new moon, but it's close, and it will shift to be able to coincide with the side that is lit up. And so this would be approximately 11 a.m. or noon. You can go through that with any phase in any location, and the more that you work with this and actually picture it out and draw it out for yourself, the easier all of this is going to be. I can always work with you in office hours on things like this, and I want to make sure that we understand that I am a resource for us. We don't just have to watch the pre-recorded lectures and hope that they work. I am here to help fill in any gaps that you have. So hopefully we will be in touch soon, and thanks for watching.